Hi, good morning, friends. Today we are going to discuss about Indian Contract Act 1872. As all of you know, Indian Contract Act 1872 came into force on 1st September 1872. Came into force in India on 1st September 1872. It has roots on English common law principle as well as the law of merchants. Initially, when Indian Contract Act 1872 was introduced in India, it has 266 sections spread over 11 chapters. 266 sections spread over 11 chapters. Chapter number 1 to 5, chapter number 1 to 6 exactly. That is section number 1 to section number 75 deals with general principles of contracts. Section number 1 to 75. Those who are preparing for the civil judges, please remember these sections. Otherwise, those who are studying for law and the BCom, they need not be too much worried about the sections, as I told in my earlier. Chapter number 7 onwards, that is 1 to 6 deal with general principles of contract. Chapter number 7 to chapter number 11 has been now separated from Indian Contract Act 1872. They are known as special contract. Chapter number 7 to chapter number 11 is known as special contract. Already I told you in my earlier classes what is special contract. Anyway, for a few seconds I will. Chapter number 7, that is section 76 to 123, is now known as Sale of Goods Act 1930. Sale of Goods Act 1930. Chapter number 8, that is section 124 to 147, is known as Contract of Indemnity and Contract of Guarantee. Chapter number 8 is known as Contract of Indemnity and Guarantee. Chapter number 9, that is section 147 to 181, is known as Contract of Bailment. You know what is Contract of Bailment. All comes under the category of special contracts. Chapter number 10, that is section 182 to 238, deals with Contract of Agency. Contract of Agency. Finally, chapter number 11, 239 to 266, deals with it is known as Indian Partnership Act 1932. So now we are going to focus mainly on general principles of contract. That is section 1 to section 175, chapter number 1 to chapter number 6. That is known as general principles of contract. Okay, now we will see what is a contract. What is a contract? Indian Contract Act deals with what is a contract. What is a contract? Contract is an agreement with legal tie. An agreement with the legal tie is equal to contract. Or I can say agreement with essential elements of a contract. Agreement with essential elements of a contract is known as agreement plus essential elements of a contract is known as contract. A plus E square. A plus E square is equal to A plus E square is equal to contract. So we will discuss about the essential elements of, we will see what are the essential elements of Indian, we will see what are the essential elements of a contract. We will let the slide come. Slides. Yes, slides please. Yes, slides. Yes. These coming slides will explain you. Indian Contract Act consists of elements of contract, performance of contract, what do you mean by breach of contract, and what are the remedies for breach of contract. And as I already told you, the special contract, that is chapter number 7 to chapter number 11. And also, we will see this essential contract consists of what are the things? Sale of Goods Act, Contract of indemnity and guarantee, contract of bailment, contract of agency, and Indian Partnership Act. Okay. What is a contract? As I told you, agreement is the most essential thing for a contract. Agreement is the most essential thing for a contract. Where agreement will become, all agreements are not contracts. All agreement, will it attain the status of a contract? No, it will not attain the status of a contract. To attain the status of a contract, there should be a legal tie or legal enforceability. Okay, that is called the essential elements of a contract. Well, a proposal plus acceptance is called a promise. What is a promise? As a slide, you can watch in this slide. A proposal plus acceptance is a promise. Promise plus consideration, a promise plus consideration is an agreement. Suppose I promise to take a law classes for this pre-law classes for the BCom people and also for CA Foundation. I promise. For that, they say we will pay you 10,000 rupees. This 10,000 rupees is a consideration. Something in return. Consideration is nothing but something in return. What the students will be benefited or the institution will be benefited, they will be getting the knowledge about the Indian Contract Act 1872. So, a promise plus consideration is an agreement. Agreement plus enforceability is equal to contract. I told you a formula because nowadays everything is formula based teaching. A plus A is an agreement plus E square is equal to C, that is contract. A stands for agreement, E square, that is essential elements of contract, is equal to contract. Okay, types of contracts. What are the types of contracts? Void contracts, voidable contracts, illegal contracts, and valid contracts. Okay. We will see what are the types of contracts based on the legal enforceability. Contract based on legal enforceability. We will see what is a void contract. A contract is called a void contract when it ceases to be enforceable by a court of law. Legally unenforceable contract, a contract which cannot be enforced at all, is known as void contract. For example, what is example for a void contract? Suppose you enter into a contract with a minor, a person who is 10-year-old boy. A 10-year-old boy, you enter into a contract. The 10-year-old boy says this house belongs to me. You can let it out. I am going to lease it out. So he attains the status of it. You attains a relationship of a lesser lessee relationship. He's signing the contract. Everything, rental agreement has been, everything has been signed. Attested by 2 witnesses, whatever it is. Everything may look like a real contract, but this contract is void ab initio. Void ab initio. It is invalid at the face itself. It has no legal enforceability at all. That is called void contract. What is an illegal contract? A valid contract becomes void on account of subsequent impossibility, illegality, etc. While you are entering to the contract, that contract may be legal, but later stage it becomes illegal. For example, this lottery were available in Tamil Nadu around 2-3 decades before. Lottery tickets, was very much available in Tamil Nadu states. But the state of Tamil Nadu banned the lotteries and this gambling and all these things. But neighboring state in Kerala, it is available. Lottery is very much legal. Suppose you made an agreement with the person who is supplying lottery to you to sell the lottery in Tamil Nadu. At that time, it was valid. Subsequently, it became illegal. So the contract became illegal contract. Another example for illegal contract is for doing some act which is prohibited by law. For example, you say, I will supply some contraband item, some drugs, narcotic drugs I will supply to you. For that, you have to give, I will supply contraband item from Mysore to whatever you call Bangalore or Cochin, whatever it is. For that, you will give a consideration of 1 lakh rupees. I will act as a carrier. Okay. Is the contract is enforceable? Is the contract is selling contraband item, narcotic item is banned by the NDPS Act, Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substance Act. So it is totally invalid. So you cannot enforce it. Or you say, I will supply girls for prostitution. Okay, the prostitution is banned in India except a few cities. It is not allowed. Suppression of Immoral Traffic Act and all these minor acts are there. Those who are studying in the law, they will be knowing about it. And also IPC section also will be imposed against them. So suppose somebody says, I will supply girls for prostitution. Will this agreement has any enforceability? No, because it is banned by law of the land. Okay. Restraint from marriage. Suppose I agree to somebody that I will not marry this person and gets an agreement, I get a consideration of 10,000. Restraining from marrying, X restraint from marrying Y because of an agreement with essential. It is not a valid contract. It is an illegal contract. Another example of illegal contract, restraining trade is an illegal contract. Okay, these are all the, so I think most of you will be this thing about the illegal contract. Then what do you mean by valid contract? A valid contract is an agreement which is binding and enforceable. It contains all essential elements of valid contract, like all the essential elements of valid contract. I told you last time around 9 essential elements of valid contract. What are the 9 essential elements of valid contract? One, at least there will be 2 or more person. Second valid contract is there should be an offer and acceptance. Third condition, intention to create legal relationship. Fourth is free consent. Fifth is possibility of performance. Sixth is competency to enter into contract. Competency, parties should be competent to enter into a contract. Seventh, lawful object and consideration. Eighth one is consensus ad idem. Consensus, those who want, they can note down. Consensus ad idem. You know what is consensus ad idem? Identity of mind. They should be in the same thinking, same mind, identity of mind. Consensus ad idem. And also, 9 this, agreement should not be expressly declared. Agreement should not be expressly declared void by the law of the land. And 10 this, that is legal formalities. Whatever legal formalities like stamping, registering, stamp duty, everything has to be paid. That is the essential elements of valid contract. Please remember these 9 elements of valid contract. Those who are preparing for the competitive exams and also the BCom students and LL.B students, BL, LL.B, whatever it is, these students, they have to remember this, at least these most essential 10 points that I told you, essential elements of valid contract. Okay, then what do you mean by voidable contract? Voidable contract is the one which is enforceable by law at the option of the aggrieved party. Suppose I was affected by this voidable contract. I can enforce it. Suppose I am the aggrieved party. Normally, aggrieved party only will go for the enforcement. That is called voidable contract. What is unenforceable contract? It is there in the slide. If you watch, you can see what is unenforceable contract. Due to some, while entering into the contract, it was very much enforceable. Subsequently, due to some factors which is not in the control of the parties, the contract become unenforceable. For example, you entered into a contract to transport some goods from Chennai port, Tamil Nadu Chennai port to Hong Kong. Okay. Or from Chennai port to, say, for example, where we can say Karachi port. What is the goods? It was a textiles, some sarees and all these things. One ship, full ship, I agreed. I am the ship owner. I am the carrier. I agree to carry. X is the carrier. Y is the person who books this, who wants these goods to be owner of the goods. He wants to be transferred to his friend who is staying in Karachi. But in the meantime, the ship, the consignment was loaded in the ship. Ship was about to start the sailing. In the meantime, what happened? India declared a war. Ship already moved some around 300 nautical miles. In the meantime, India declared war with Pakistan, and I am not able to travel to Karachi port and unload these goods in Karachi. So, while entering into a contract with the Y, that is the person who is the owner of the goods or consignor, consignor, it was very much enforceable. Now, due to it become alien country, I cannot go there. It is prohibited. The entry of the ship, Indian ships are banned in Karachi port due to we declared a war with Pakistan. So this is called unenforceable contract. We will see one by one what is that. Okay. Already I told you the elements of essential elements of a valid contract: offer and acceptance, legal relationship, lawful consideration, capacity of the parties, free consent, legality of object, legal formality, certainty of performance, possibility of performance, not expressly declared as a void. Already explained you while explaining that slide. Okay. What do you mean by legal relationship? There must be an intention among parties to create a legal paper. That is, proper agreement has to be wrote and signed by both parties, so that in case of any dispute, they can get it solved either by arbitration or by the court of law. Because there should be legal relation. Mere agreement will not attain the status of a contract. Please remember, in one word answer, one word question, objective type question, there will be a question like this: that legally enforceable agreement is a contract, or valid contract, invalid contract, unenforceable contract, invalid agreement. So this type of twisting question. Each and every point, there should be 3 to 4 objective type question. You should keep it in your mind. Those who are going for civil judges and other APP competitive entrance exams. There must be an intention among party to create a legal tie, proper stamping, proper attesting, registration, attested by 2 witnesses. Whatever the law of the land prescribes, whatever the customs and rituals prescribes, this has to be made. Okay. Then, what do you mean by free consent? This has to be discussed a little bit. What is free consent? The consent of the parties should be voluntary. There should not be any cohesion. There should not be undue influence. There should not be any fraud. There should not be any misrepresentation. What do you mean by cohesion? What do you mean by cohesion? Those who are studying IPC papers, you will be remembering what you mean by cohesion. Okay, it is punishable by yes. Okay, cohesion, everybody are aware. What do you mean by undue influence? Undue influence. Suppose I am a very big politician here, this city. I have a lot of muscle power with me. Might. I'm a mighty person, I will say, whether a politician or I am a gunda, whatever it is. I have a lot of might with me. I have a lot of muscle man with me. I am asking one person. There is one beautiful house with a what you call good ambience and all these things. I'm seeing that house. I am asking. I am calling that person. Come, friend, come here. Come, we will say his name as X to avoid controversy. We should not use normally the name X. I am calling Mr. X. Come here. How are you? He says, yes, I am fine. Who are you? No, I am so and so. I am you. You are not how? You are the person. Yes, yes, I am the person. Will you sell this house? No, sir. This house is meant for my personal use. I am going to give to my daughter. Oh, I see. But I am calling in separately. You do one thing. I will give you some 10 lakhs. You sell this house to Y. Not to me. You sell this house for 10 lakhs to Y. Otherwise, you will find it very difficult. You know, you heard about me. I am a very bad fellow. I will see to it that if you buy, if you sell now, you will get 10 lakhs. Otherwise, you will not get anything. Understood? So, and also after some time, I am sending some 10, 15 people and digging in front of his house using a JCB earth mover. He's making some this thing. So he was telling finally, this house cost around 10 crore or 15 crore. He's coming to me, sir, will you please give me at least 1 crore to me, because it cost around 10 crore. So I'm not able to live here because of your people are creating. Okay, you take 1 crore. I am so magnanimous. I'm a magnanimous person. So I'm giving you 1 crore. Tomorrow morning is your registration. You are signing. Register will come to your house, or you come to my office. We will sign here. This is called undue influence. Undue influence. Coercion also, everything will come here. Okay. Then what is a fraud? I am advertising somebody. I am telling to you, yes, Mr. Y, come here. Mr. Y, come here. Okay, what, sir? This see this house. How is this house? Yes, it's a very beautiful house. Well planned, it seems. Well built, well constructed, and all. I am going to sell to you. You just give me 2 crore. Market rate is 3 crore. But he's agreeing because he's happy. Because I'm going to give 3 crore property for 2 crores. After some time, I accepted money, everything. I registered everything. Then only I understand that I sold this house to 3 people. He's a third buyer. I registered in 3 people's name because at that time there was no computerization. Just 3 people I sold the same house. It is very common. It was very common at that time also. Okay. Then misrepresentation. Suppose I am going to one place, one big factory or business establishment. I am wearing a good, nice shirt and pant and all these things. 2, 3 people are accompanying me. We are telling that we are from sale tax. We like to conduct a raid in your enforcement wing. We are the enforcement wing. We like to conduct a raid here. So in the meantime, some of my assistants goes and speak to him. He says, suppose he give him 1 lakh, he will. Impersonation. Everybody knows that I am an advocate only. I have no role in. When I have got an employment in income tax, and who entrusted me the job to enforce it? Nobody has enforced me. I am making a fraud, impersonation, misrepresentation. So this type of misrepresenting agreement and deeds are null and void. Section 116, 17 and 18, 19, and also CRPC, IPC for 20, for 19 also deals with that. Okay. Free consent, it should be already we discussed the free consent. Undue influence and coercion, section 15, the committing or threatening to commit any act forbidden by IPC, or unlawful detaining or threatening to detain any property to the prejudice of any person to enter into an agreement. Threat of imprisonment is also a coercion. Suppose a police inspector or IG, DSP, SP, everybody, they are very common. They have all the IPC and the CRPC, and also many minor acts empowers them to arrest a person. They will say, see, my dear friend, if you are not giving me 1 lakh now, you will be inside. You will be remanded and imprisoned. So, you agree for that to sell that house. Otherwise, what will happen? I will hoist false cases against you, and you will be imprisoned. You will be imprisoned. Here is a comparison in this charge between coercion and undue influence. What is a coercion? What is undue influence? Coercion involves physical force. Undue influence due to moral pressure. Coercion need not proceed from the promise or need it to be directed against the promiser. But in case of undue influence, there must be a relationship between the parties which place one party in a position to dominate the will of the other. Third comparison of a coercion is that where the consent of the promisor is obtained by coercion, the contract is void. Where the consent is obtained by undue influence, the contract is either voidable or court may set aside. This is void ab initio, but this is voidable. Okay. Then section 7 induces any of the following act done by the decisive or to induce a person to enter into a contract. One, a false suggestion known to be false or not believed to be true. These are the elements of fraud. Active concealment of facts with the knowledge or belief of the fact. A promise made without the intention of performing it. Doing any other act fitted to be decisive. Doing any such act or making any such omission which the law specifically declared to be fraudulent. Deep concept. These are the misrepresentation. Section 18 arises when the representation made is inaccurate, but the accuracy is not due to any intention to defraud the other party. Okay. So we will see some other contract like contingent contract, quasi contract, quantum marriage. Okay. A contract to do or not to do something, if some event collateral to such contract does or does not happen, it is a contract in which the performance become a due only upon happening of some event which may or may not happen. Okay. Quasi contract is purely a creation of. Quasi contract, I will tell you, it is purely a creation of law. Okay. Quantum marriage. Suppose quantum marriage, I will explain you. The slides will give you some input. I will additional to that, I will tell you one thing. Suppose pay for the work done. Enjoyed the benefit of contract to the entity or person was not a part of the contract. General rule of law is that unless a person has performed his obligation in full, he cannot claim. In cases where a person has done some work under a contract and the other party repudiated the contract, which makes the performance impossible, the party who performed can claim for work he has already done. For example, I made a contract, A made a contract with B to construct a house, but we constructed up to he has completed the house and put a roof also, but he could not complete the rest of the work, like for painting and putting tiles or granite, whatever it is. But he has done almost 50% of the work. But to be truly speaking, he has not fulfilled his contractual obligation. But pay for that. Whatever he has done, you pay for that. That is a quantum marriage. In fact, it is a natural justice also. Okay. Okay. Then we will see some of the sections of the Indian Contract Act, which is very useful. Some of the sections of the Indian Contract Act, which is very useful for the people who are preparing for the CACS and also those who are preparing for the civil judges and all these things. For that, we have to, what we have to do is that we have to make it a, the slides will, once the slides are, yes. I will tell you some, the slides, I think it is not working. So, slides are not working properly. So what we will do? Okay. Some of the, okay, now it has come. We will start. Some of the important sections, which please try to remember. I will, some of the mnemonics also you can use. As you know, Indian Contract Act deals with promisor-promisee relationship, proposer-proposee relationship. First is a proposer, we will say. Which section deal with the proposer? Section 2, subclause A deal with proposer. Section 2, subclause A deal with the proposer. Section 2, subclause B deals with the promise. Section 2, subclause C is a promisor-promisee relationship. Section 2C. Section 2D deals with consideration. Section 2E deals with agreement. Section 2F deals with reciprocal promise. Section 2 subclause F deals with reciprocal promise. Section 2 subclause G deal with void agreement. Section 2 subclause G is a void agreement. Section 2 subclause H for highways, H deals with contract. Section 2 subclause H defines what is a contract. What is contract is an agreement, enforceable line. A plus E square is equal to C. Section 2 subclause I deals with voidable contract. Section 2 clause I deals with voidable contract. Section 2J is a void contract. Section 2J is a void contract. These are all the this thing of a contract. Then also, I will add one more thing to this. Now, recent, that is for the past few years, one more contract has emerged. That is called adhesion contract. ADHESION, adhesion contract, or standard format contract. Adhesion contract is also known as standard format contract. Nowadays, this era of globalization, laissez-faire and all, it is widely used. Suppose you are entering into a contract with a insurance company to insure your vehicle. They will ask you to sign in a paper which is already printed in a standard format. You cannot change that format. Only if you sign, they will process your insurance policy. So, adhesion contract is imposed by a person or a party to another party who is having lesser bargaining power. A person who is having command over the contract or having higher bargaining power imposes the condition on a party who is having lesser bargaining power is called adhesion contract or standard format contract. Or another nickname for that contract is take it or leave it contract. Take it or leave it contract. Or boilerplate contract. Otherwise, it is known as boilerplate contract. You don't have any bargaining power at all. If you want, you take it or leave it. If you want, you sign it. You take this and leave it. Standard format contract. There is another this for that, lawmakers has not done a great help to the society. But judiciary has done something to save the person who is having lesser bargaining power. One of the notable cases is Madhuri Dixit case. Those who want to have that case, they can refer it. And also, another important point here that I like to make is that which are the contract which doesn't come under the enforceability. For example, social contracts or family level, among the family, contract between the family members. That contract doesn't come under that. It cannot be enforced. For that, yes, for that family, because husband and wife, for example, in marital relationship, in married relationship, in wedded relationship, husband makes a promise to wife for a consideration, something, whatever it is. I will tell you a story, you understand what is a contract. That case is Balfour versus Balfour. Balfour, Mr. Balfour versus Mrs. Balfour. Mr. Balfour and Mrs. Balfour were living in Colombo. This couple went to London for a holiday trip, for a vacation. After 1 month, Mr. Balfour was returned to Colombo. Mrs. Balfour was not able to accompany him because she becomes sick. So Mr. Balfour promised a consideration of £1,000 every month. He sent, after reaching the Colombo, he sent every month 1,000 rupees for a maintenance in London for Mrs. Balfour. After some time, he stopped sending that amount. Mrs. Balfour sued him for enforceability of the agreement that he has made with her. After hearing both sides, the court was of the opinion that these agreements between the husband and wife will not attain the status of a contract, and it is unenforceable. That contract is unenforceable. Also, for example, I will call all of you to a party. I will say, this next Sunday, we will have a party at this star hotel. We can dine and wine there. I am sponsoring all of you. Because you are all so good students. I am sponsoring all of you. You can come, have a dinner. You can dine, wine, dance, and go. But after some time, some Saturday, I am saying, no, sorry, I cancelled that this thing. Because due to some personal problem, I could not conduct the party for you. But I invited you properly, everything. Can you see for me? No. Vice versa also. You invited me, sir, you come and join in this hotel in the night for a dinner on Saturday night. We are going to offer a sumptuous dinner. A dinner you would not have had in your life. Such a beautiful, such a that is a tasty dinner I will offer you. I am coming there. At that time you are not there. Nobody was there. Traces was not there. I am giving a ring. Nobody is picking up the phone. Can I see you? No, I cannot see because it is not enforceable by law. This is the these are all the major case law is Balfour versus Balfour. This is the enforceability. So almost general principles of contract has been covered in this class. Next class, we will see what is a special contract and all this. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you for your patient listening. Thank you very much. Thank you.